Hey, I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my photo chats. So today I'm going to talk about how we can be seers. I think in this age of internet connectivity, more of us feel disconnected than connected. And I was thinking about how there is no other device that I can think of that allows you to walk up to people who you don't know and say, "Hi, you really strike me as somebody who looks really cool today or looks really good. I really like the way you're dressed. Can I take a photo of you? May I make your portrait?" But a camera gives us that license to do that. If we walk up to somebody and we're carrying a camera, especially if it's an old camera like this, and you say, "Hey, I'm testing out a new camera I just got," or "Hey, I'm working with an old camera that was my grandpa's and I'm making some photos and I'm doing some portraits on the street, and may I take your picture?" There is a wonderful thing about being seen. And I would bet a lot of depression in America and around the world is somewhat based on people feel invisible. People feel like nobody would miss them if they weren't around, and they don't get seen. And we have this incredible gift with a camera, is to see people. And I was putting into a blog post about how I think, would it be cool if, like, the first Saturday of every month, photographers from around the world went out to their cities, went out to their towns, and photographed people? If you needed an excuse, you could say, "Hey, I'm working on the SEER photographic project, and our goal is to recognize how incredible we all are and to celebrate who we are, because we do have something to offer and we are worthy of being seen." I know somebody who said that, like, whenever they come back from a event, their partner always says, "Did anybody ask about me? Did anybody say anything? Did they mention me?" People want to be participatory. People want to be a part of things. And they're not often. And as photographers, we get not only to be able to make these photographs, whether we gift them to them or not. I would like that to happen. I would love to see all the photographers print and frame and hand those photos over to those folks. But even just the act of making them, even just creating those photographs, that person walks away with a little brighter light in their eye, a little bit of a higher step in their step, because they're thinking about how somebody pulled me aside. Of all the people out here, somebody saw me. Somebody saw me and wanted to take my picture. I've had many great conversations with people who I've met over the years because I brought my camera out and I knew I wanted to go approach somebody, and they were the ones who either responded to my camera or I introduced myself. And I've had many great conversations that way. And I am an extrovert. I enjoy talking to people. If I'm carrying an old Rolleiflex, it might draw attention. I want attention. I want to talk to people. I want to photograph. I'll often say, "Oh, it's an old camera that photographs the people that notice it. It's an old camera that is here to photograph you." And again, that ability to use our tools to connect to the world of people who are all around us, but we mostly just go about our way. We don't know what they're up to. We assume everybody's fine, and we have no concept of the struggles they're going through, how much they could really benefit if somebody would reach out to them today. And then as photographers, we could do that. We can be those seers. So I think that's an important thing. And I think that it would be a marvelous thing. People say, "How can I change the world?" You can't change the world. Well, you can change one bit at a time. You can change a little world. You can change the world of that person. I may have said this story before, but there's an old story about a person who is walking along the beach, and there are a bunch of starfish, thousands of them, washed up onto the shore, and they can't get back into the ocean. And this little girl is picking one up at a time and throwing it back into the ocean. And then she reaches down, picks up another one and throws it back into the ocean. And there are thousands and thousands of these starfish. And the person walking along goes, "What are you doing? You can't possibly make any this effort is worthless. You can't be making any kind of a matter out of all this. It's like you can't have any effect. How are you expecting to affect anybody when there's so many? And she picks up another one and throws it back in. She goes, matters to this one. We can't do everything, but we can do one thing. And we can do it repeatedly. And maybe that person goes home after being photographed and tells their partner, tells their family, hey, I was photographed today, and they have a little story, and it brings a little joy into their world, and they take that joy home with them. And maybe for some people it's just sort of a forgotten thing. That's okay too. But the idea is that we see people and we can go up, approach them and say, hello, may I meet you? May I make your picture? Can I create a photograph? You are somebody who I see. All right, that's today's Photography Talk. If you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button. If you can support, hit the Patreon. Thanks to all my supporters. I appreciate you all. I will be back next week. We'll talk more photography. As always, here's the good light.